Hey guys, in this video we're talking about collecting your Plan 2 pension at age 55 and taking a 20% hit and seeing if it makes sense. Now, I know what you're thinking. It sounds absolutely crazy. Who in their right mind would elect to leave the state and collect their pension at age 55 and take a 20% hit? The math simply can't work out, right? Well, you might be surprised about what the numbers show. So in this video we're going to talk about what that looks like. I'm going to give you the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and somewhere in between. That way you can get a reasonable expectation of what it might look like. All right, so without further ado, let's break down the numbers. So first, remember that Plan 2, you get 2% for every year of work, and it's based on the average of your top 5 years. So for this example, we're gonna keep it really simple. We're gonna say you worked 30 years, so 30 times 2, that's 60%. So you average $100,000 per year. You get 60% of your $100,000, that's $60,000 per year. So that's how you calculate what your pension is at your full retirement age. So you're entitled to that $60,000 as your full retirement age. So if you're on Plan 2, your full retirement age is age 62, assuming you're hired prior to May of 2013. If you're after that, that's gonna be a separate video. So if we said, hey, I'm gonna take it at age 55, which is the earliest you're able to actually collect your pension here, then you're gonna be subject to a 20% penalty. Now 20% sounds huge, right? But keep this in mind. If you're planning on taking your Social Security at age 62, you're already taking a 25 to 30% penalty there. So taking a 20% penalty doesn't quite sound so crazy now, does it? So now let's just run the numbers and let them speak for themselves. So with this scenario, if our full benefit at age 62 was $60,000 and we take a 20% hit, then we're entitled to 80% of our benefit. That gives you $48,000 per year starting age 55. So there you lost $12,000 per year for the rest of your life. Now that's a big number, right? $1,000 a month. However, remember that you are collecting that for 7 full years before you even hit 62. So you're gonna rack up quite a bit from the system, and it's gonna take a little while to break even. So what is that break even number? Let's assume that there's 0 cost of living adjustment. So we'll keep the numbers really easy here. So at age 55, if you start collecting $48,000 per year and there's no cost of living adjustment, by the time you reached age 62, you already have collected $336,000 from the system. We took our $336,000 and divided it by the $12,000 difference between the 48 and 60,000, then you get 28, which means that it will take us 28 years before we break even. So this means that you're not going to break even until about age 89. So that's quite a ways away. So in that case, it might make sense for some people to consider taking it at 55 if you don't plan on living past age 89. Now I always tell people to make sure you plan to at least age 100, if not 150, because you want to be absolutely sure that you're not going to run out of money. So at age 89, it may seem old. However, as technology improves, people are starting to live longer and longer. You may very well live past that. And if you're okay with breaking even at a late age like that because you got 7 more years of retirement out of it, more power to you. So that's the base scenario. Let's bring in cost of living adjustments. So remember that your cost of living adjustments are between 0 and 3% every single year, starting in July after you've been retired for 1 full year. So retire, collect for 1 full year. That following July on the 1st, you're eligible for a cost of living adjustment. So it can be 0, it has been 0 in the past, probably will be in the future as well, and it can be up to 3% at a max. There's no guarantee there. All depends on inflation and what we're seeing out there. So now with the cost of living factored in, I'm going to show you the absolute worst case scenario. So your worst case scenario here is for you to retire at 55 and take that penalty and receive a 0% cost of living adjustment until you're 62 and then get a 3% cost of living for the rest of your life. Now, why is that the worst case? Because you retired at 55, you got $48,000 for those 7 years. Even though you're going to get a 3% cost of living adjustment on that $48,000, when you have a 3% cost of living growing on $48,000 versus $60,000, the gap of $12,000 gets wider and wider over time, and it doesn't take much long before that $12,000 becomes $24,000 difference. So worst case, you're gonna break even at age 82. Not really too bad in my opinion, especially if you can get so many more years of early retirement out of it. Remember, all retirement years aren't all equal. The earlier years are a lot more enjoyable than the later years. So to have more good years in retirement may very well offset you having maybe potentially less money in your other older years. All right, now let's look at the best case scenario. So now the best case scenario is if you're retired at age 55, took your $48,000, but you received a 3% cost of living adjustment every single year for the rest of your life. So in that case, I got $48,000 my first year. In the second year, I got a 3% bump, and I kept getting that bump for 7 continuous years. By the time I'm 62, my benefit actually went from $48,000 to about $59,000. So now at that point, the difference between $59,000 and 60,000 is about $1,000. So I made up most of that difference because of that cost of living adjustment. So now let's look at how much I collect from the system, what my break-even age is. So if I collected 48,000, got that 3% raise until I'm 62, I would have banked $426,000. So if I take that $426,000 and divide it by the difference of $1,000, it doesn't quite work out to 426 because you saw that 3% compounding, and that $1,000 difference certainly becomes 2,000 in just a few years. The actual break-even age here is age 146. So it takes 85 years to break even in the best case scenario. So worst case, you break even at age 82. Your best case, age 146. Reality, you're gonna be somewhere in between those two spectrums. Assuming you guys don't have 7 consecutive years of 0% cost of living adjustment and 3% after that, you're gonna be somewhere closer to age 90 or beyond that. So retiring at age 55 with those numbers doesn't seem quite so crazy now, does it? Obviously, there's a lot more to consider than just your pension here. Assuming that you're someone that has 30 years of service, you're at least age 55, maybe potentially a little bit older than that, and you're wanting to go on to a second career, maybe just do something a little different, and you don't plan on going back to work for the state, then in that case, it may make complete sense to actually take your pension early, even if it has a 20% hit to it, because you very well may not break even until you're in your 90s. And at that point, you probably even don't care anymore because you got so many good solid years of early enjoyable retirement, and you can even use that money to even kickstart your new business venture. So use those funds to help get a new business off the ground. May not be a bad use of the funds either. If you found this video exciting and helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up so this can spread to more state employees. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you guys next week. Remember that your future depends on what you do today.